A very good afternoon to you all. The Acting Prime Minister, Honourable Minister for Economy and Attorney General, Honourable Aiyaz Sayed-Khaiyum, the Directors of EFL, Mr. Gardner-Whiteside, Mr. Fukuda-san, fellow employees, the press, a very good afternoon to you all. We are assembled here this afternoon to announce the performance pay for EFL employees for the year 2021. The years 2020 and 21 were difficult years as a result of the pandemic. Nevertheless, both the years for EFL were profitable ones. Obviously, we had to get our strategy right because our sales had fallen by about 20%. But because the fuel price also fell, we were able to take advantage of that. And by God's grace, we had a lot of rain. So we were able to maximize our hydro power plants. And even though the sales were low, we were able to make handsome profits. In fact, the year 2021 was a record year for Energy Fiji Limited in terms of profitability. We achieved a profit level of some $96 million before tax, and that has been the highest ever recorded in the history of Fiji Electricity Authority or Energy Fiji Limited. Of course, the contribution by the employees of EFL was tremendous, especially during these difficult times. To run Energy Fiji Limited during COVID-19 was not an easy exercise. We had all sorts of, what do we call them? Lockouts, and what do you call them? The other stuff, I've forgotten the word now. No, the bubbles. The many bubbles that we had formed because, at our depots, we have huge numbers coming out there. So obviously we had to separate all of them into smaller groups, and we're using all our substations and whatnot. To provide a service to our customers was a challenge. But even in those difficult times, we rose to the occasion, and the employees of EFL did a wonderful job in ensuring that the power supply was on. And also we made sure that the business continued, and finally the year for us ended very, never beyond what we imagined. But of course, I thank the management and the staff for their efforts and the way we managed this company and made, a great return for our shareholders. So today I take this honor in announcing the performance pay. A little bit about the performance pay, not to confuse with the word bonus. The employees of EFL, right from the CEO down to the lowest ranking employee of EFL, their pay has what we call an at-risk component. So you get what you call a base salary, and there is an at-risk component which you will get if you perform. And the performance is measured through what we call key performance indicators. The CEO has a corporate scorecard, and all the other divisions of EFL, they have their own scorecards. The methodology that we adopt in measuring performance in EFL is called the balanced scorecard methodology, which was actually invented by Harvard many years ago. And we have been following this particular methodology and the balanced scorecard system of assessing performance since 2009. And we have been very successful. This is one way to actually motivate employees, because they know that if they perform, then they will be rewarded appropriately. So we have been paying out performance pay depending on the performance of the organization, the achievement of KPIs, and these KPIs are all quantifiable. They're not qualitative KPIs. They can be measured. And the assessment is not done by the Energy Fiji Limited management. They do the initial assessment, but then we get PwC to come and audit the whole thing. So it's pretty independent. So this process has been followed for many years, and this year the audit has been completed, and it's now time to actually reward the employees of EFL. We have also given the dividend checks today to our shareholders, and now we want to reward our employees. So basically, the performance pay has been worked out, and all our employees will be getting the performance pay according to which SBA you belong, how your SBA has performed. You will be getting your performance pay Naveen, when are we going to pay that out? Wednesday. So Wednesday we will be paying out the performance pay. I also like to take this opportunity to make another announcement. Since EFL in the last 2 years have performed very well, of course 2022 has been a challenge because the oil prices have really soared high and it's becoming a little difficult in terms to manage cost. But nevertheless, we will see how we sail through towards the end of the year, how we perform. But due to the rising cost of living, we can see if you go out to the supermarkets or practically anywhere, the cost of goods and services have gone up. Even in EFL, all our, shall I say, line equipment, transformers, hardware that we get from abroad, all the prices have gone up substantially. And therefore, our cost of doing business has gone up. But nevertheless, to recognize the difficulties that our employees are going through, and they haven't had a pay rise since 2019, the last 2 years, obviously, there were no pay rise. I'm very glad to inform all our employees that the board has approved a 5% pay rise for all employees below the managerial level. That means the HODs, the heads of department, and the executive management group, they will not get their pay rise because they have a 3-year contract which they are locked into. But all the other employees below the HOD level, they will get a 5% pay increase to their base salary, backdated to 1st of January 2022. Now I have great honor in inviting the Acting Prime Minister and Honorable Minister for Economy and Attorney General, the Honorable Aiyaz Sayed-Khaiyum, to come and address the employees of EFL.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I've never seen a room full of people who are going to get a performance payout and increase in salary look so serious. I was looking for the smiles, but I couldn't see that many smiles. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, today is a rather momentous occasion in the sense that the dividends that have just been paid out and the profitability of EFL is in fact unprecedented. They've never made so much profit. Of course, this is profit before tax. We also like to take this opportunity to welcome our new shareholders on the board, Seven Pacific Limited, PD Limited. They are, of course, a credible partner with us. Government, as you know, spent close to 3 years looking for a credible partner to partner, of course, with government in terms of facing the challenges of providing energy to our country. Energy, of course, now, as you know, is a critical element of any society. Electrifying people and their homes, etc., is critically important. Everybody demands electrification. Even the most remote places in Fiji want electrification. We need to be able to ensure that a lot of our energy sources are from renewable energy sources. As you know, that renewable energy, as the CEO was saying, we had a lot of rain. We don't pay for the rain, it's God's grace. We don't pay for the sunshine, it's God's grace. And all other types of renewable energy sources, for example, wind. You need the technology, you need the know-how, you need the people who have the skill sets and the expertise who can then impart that knowledge and share that knowledge with us to be able to take us to the next stage. Now, of course, Chugoko and Jibik have partnered to form Sevens, and they bring that particular skill sets and know-how to EFL. So we believe that government's, of course, main objective was not simply to sell the shares in EFL, but to find a strategic partner. And that's why Chugoko and Jibik are here with us. Japanese companies, as you know, have a reputation of being high performers. They have high levels of transparency. They also very much beholden to environmental standards. They look at long-term goals. They don't only look up till their noses or just up to the next couple of years. For the energy sector, and indeed in running a country, you need to look at long-term goals. You need to look at your not just a 5-year plan, but a 15, 20, 25, 30-year plan. That's how nations are formed. That's how companies actually become very strong and, in fact, high performers. So we are very glad and like to publicly once again thank their interest in being indeed shareholders. Ladies and gentlemen, the PMS, as you know, as the CEO highlighted, there's a payout of about $2.268 million being paid out to all the staff of EFL. The 5% pay rise, of course, the CEO probably forgot to mention, is on the back of the minimum wage, of course, being increased. And the impact of the minimum wage has had an impact on other categories of work also, as was gazetted. The 10 wage sectors have also increased incrementally, reaching the base of $4 for national minimum wage by January of next year. So you are getting that pay rise on top of that pay rise that was in fact gazetted by government. So that 5%, of course, is in addition to that. I'd like to, ladies and gentlemen, very quickly, highlight and emphasize to you how important a role that you play in the development of Fiji. We have, for example, I met with somebody a few days ago who wants to make a vast amount of investment in Fiji. And for that investment to be viable, they need connectivity with electricity. For that investment to actually get off its back and indeed get up and running, they need electricity. It will create jobs. It will in fact create hundreds of jobs. It will create hundreds of opportunities of investment. So please understand that you play a very pivotal role in terms of the growth and the growth of the GDP in our country. On the other extreme, of course, you are providing electricity to people so they can actually read their textbooks, the children. You are providing electricity to people who can actually get their little coolers running so when they catch fish, they're able to store their fish so they can sell it the next day. You are providing electricity to people who, for example, are running their own shops, people who are no longer will remain in the dark, people who are now getting street lights, where we put street lights in rural areas. People are in the villages able to sell their hot corn or hot sila at night time. They're getting commerce. Previously, nobody would stop there because it was dark. And now when it's light, people are able to sell vegetables because the electricity is there. They're able to sell food stuff by the roadside. So you're actually creating economic opportunities for people. EFL, of course, is at the coalface of climate change, like we are as a country. We have seen so many times when power lines all go down, EFL staff up there putting power lines up, twice in one cyclone season in the same area. Of course, from a government perspective, we want to build resilience. We want to be able to do as much underground cabling of electricity as possible, so you have less work to do. We have, in fact, productivity does not get affected after a cyclone. And we understand the trials and tribulations that people do go through in staying in remote areas, putting up power lines day and night because there's so much pressure on you. I think the PMS, of course, is a recognition of that, recognition of the hard work that you put in, recognition of the fact that you play a very pivotal role in terms of keeping everybody energized in Fiji, keeping homes, small shops, canteens, villages, farming areas, industrial sites, factories, all up and running. And that's very important. In this day and age, of course, of Facebook and social media, the moment electricity goes off within 5 minutes, there's hundreds, if not thousands of people complaining about EFL. Because of EFL, the power's gone down. So those are also challenges that people face. And unfortunately, through social media, of course, people sometimes don't necessarily understand what you yourself as EFL personnel have to go through. They don't understand if there's a lightning strike up in the middle of coming down from Monosavu into Vunda, it's very hard to get to. We have to be able to also educate them about that. And we also therefore recognize as government the very pivotal role that you do play. With those few words, I'd like to also thank the board with their contribution, with their foresight, the chair and the board. And as you know, the board has a composition of now members from sevens, including government members. I'd like to also take this opportunity. It is rather unfortunate that government has set aside 5% of shares to the ordinary members of the public. I understand there's about 150,000 odd domestic household accounts, but there's only about 37,000 people who've actually signed up for the 5% shares. They're also in this dividend payout getting paid, money for those shares that they hold. Households that, have a below income level of $30,000 a year get 250 shares. Those who have more than $30,000 a year get 150 shares. This is ex gratia shares, in other words, free shares. But only about less than 40,000 people have signed up for it. Today, those people who have not signed up for it would be getting paid a dividend. an amount as small as it may be, but the fact is you're getting some money for those shares. Whether it's $2, whether it's $5, whether it's $50. And God willing, time to come will be a lot more. So I'd urge through this particular event here, all those Fijians who have actually a domestic account, please sign up. It is free. Sign up. Your shares are listed on the South Pacific Stock Exchange. You eventually get listed there. You'll be able to trade. People can actually buy your shares. You can actually sell your shares. So those people who have not, please do so. Those people who have signed up, you'll be getting, of course, a recognition of that dividend payout very soon. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again. I'd like to thank all the staff of EFL for your contribution, ensuring that EFL continues to perform, notwithstanding, as your CEO highlighted, the challenges you faced. Thank you to everybody that got vaccinated. Thank you for everybody who stayed within the bubbles and yet continued with the electricity and the supply of electricity throughout Fiji. I wish you all good afternoon. Thank you.